Well, welcome to another edition of the Referee Show right here on Islandstats.com. I'm your host, Earl Based, and then joining me today, I can't seem to get your name right. So,
yes, Sanford Seepersad.
Seepersad.
Super is easy.
Yes. Well, sir, welcome. Thank you for coming on the Referee Show. You were abroad for quite some time, came back and jumped right back into the mix, and you've hit the ground running. Why refereeing?
Well, before I left, I was actually a referee, licensed referee with Bermuda Football Association. I even continued while I was overseas, training, coaching, just stayed into football. So for the love of the sport, I'm still here,
Right.
you know, and it was just a matter of coming back and seeing a need and wanting to be a part of a great team. You know?
Right. Refereeing in Bermuda can be challenging at times because we all know each other. We are all related in some way or the other.
Correct.
How do you find your challenges in officiating local matches?
Well, I would say it's the disrespect. But I constantly, as refereeing in the middle and as an assistant ref on the side, I try to help the players understand that the respect starts with your coach. And if they can just get the respect with the coach, then it would filter on the field. And I see some of them are starting to gravitate to that, you know, where you're seeing it starting to try,
Right.
but then the coach will turn around and bring it right back. And
Right.
so that's what I see about Bermuda football right now.
A lot of people talk about the level of the game, and everybody has a different opinion on why it's where it's at.
Okay.
But we have a challenge, and this challenge has been going on for a number of years with officials wanting to officiate. Where do you think, or how do you think it would help getting more officials? What do we need to be doing to get more people wanting to officiate to make sure football is around for a long time?
Well, I feel just like rugby and cricket and all the other sports that are growing in Bermuda, swimming, they start from the schools. You know, I put forward to tell them, let's start with junior referees as far as 13 coming out of school, where they can do PDL games
Right.
and grow from there.
Right.
If they take that, then by all means. But if not, I think if we can just start from the youth and us as the mature ones could be an example.
Right.
Because right now, that's what we're looking for.
Right. Well,
Go ahead.
we do have quite a few youngsters on board already. I've been interviewing a few of them, starting at middle school and high school.
Correct.
I think it's a good start.
Yes.
It's one that we need to encourage more, and I think this show here helps that because it puts them in the limelight.
Correct.
They speak well. People get to hear them. People get to see them, who they
Correct.
are. So when they go to officiate in a game, the respect is given because everyone now knows, oh, this is an official referee.
Correct.
When you're off to a game, any game, First Division, Premier Division, PDL, whatever you're going to be doing, what are some of the things you're doing to prepare yourself for that game mentally?
Well, the first thing we try to do is get to know the teams and understanding the players. It's amazing that people don't know that as referees, we try to identify what players and their style of play. So when you're out there, you know how they go in, how they dive, or how they take a tackle. You know, if they hit you hard, or if that's just their natural movement. We constantly doing training and updating ourselves with the laws because the laws change constantly.
Right.
That's one of the things we're hoping that people will get on board, is learning the laws of the refereeing because, or the sport, because that's what makes it difficult for us.
Right. We have in our midst 2 female referees.
Correct.
Obviously, we can get some more. But with you talking about the disrespect, do you think it's even more harder for more females to want to officiate because of the level of disrespect shown to the men and to these 2 young ladies?
That's a very good question. I would say it comes to your own understanding. You're getting into it for the love of the sport first. You're getting to learn the laws. Everything we apply on the field is whatever the person's choice is. So if they're choosing to be disrespectful, we apply the laws of the game.
Right.
That's what we look at. We try to teach one another that, hey, you're going to hear it no matter what. But you got to still know how to be professional, and you got to know how to apply the laws of the game. And with the women on board, the 2 that we have, thus far that's out there. It's a few more but they haven't been out for a while.
Right.
They have a wealth of knowledge. They've been in it for a while. I respect them wholeheartedly. I think what it is because certain times they feel like they're not getting their just due, then they get bitter a little. But I think it's because we're so short, is we have to use each other wherever we are. So I would love to see them do more, so women can see more of them out there. The guys do have disrespect for the women, but they're strong. And I think it builds character and it builds strength with them as well. So those two, I see it in them. It's just occasionally they'll get upset.
Right.
They've got so much strength, and that's the thing we need for them to help with the younger ladies coming through.
Right.
You know?
As you indicated in the law book, many laws have changed.
Yes.
What's some of the latest laws that you've struggled with of late that have changed in the last, say, 2 years?
Well, I mean, the offside law is such a. It's supposed to be easy, but because everyone is so used to if someone is in an offside position, then automatically they're shouting offside. But until that player either makes a football move or attacker, pretty much makes a football move and or is the word is interfering with the goalkeeper, then of course it is offside. But everyone now shouts offside, offside, and you've got to make that split second whether or not because they could be running in that area, but they're not touching the ball. If they don't touch the ball, it's not offside. You know, so that's one. The other one is for years in Bermuda soccer, or football, you find the goalkeepers jump forward.
Yes.
Before penalty is taken.
We saw that. We saw that at PHC.
Okay, right.
I
flagged it.
I actually have it on video, and you could see him do it on video ahead of time. Yes.
And thank you. Good. And that lady actually told me that. She says, I saw it, but he should be able to take 2 steps. No, ma'am. The law says it's side to side, and you cannot leave that line until the ball is kicked.
Right.
And in actual fact, the new law says they should be given a caution.
Oh.
They should be given a caution.
Right.
A yellow card.
Okay.
Right? Delay of the a restart.
Yes.
So, you know, that's a law that it's not always applied. Do you know foul and abusive language?
Yes.
We are trying to get more families to come out. So the cussing, we tell them, we know you're going to curse.
Right.
We understand that. But if you curse across the field, then, you know, come on, I'm going to warn you, run cross you. We always, you see us run cross, we're warning them.
Right.
If you see us bring a card out, a red card, we've already spoken to them.
Yes.
But the average person out there doesn't realize that. They're saying, well, you give him a red card, he just cussed.
Right.
No, we're trying to tell you it's foul and abusive language.
Right.
And especially across.
Right.
We understand people have different language.
Do you believe that we should get more stricter with that? And especially at the start of the season, we should be looking to set the example that we're going to stamp it out right away?
The hardest thing is that because the referee, not the assistant ref, the referee is the final authority on the field. Then different referees have their different opinion of what is foul and abusive.
Yes.
So if you just let off a curse, they're like, oh.
Right.
You know, wherein one of the referees might be just the more sensitive and say, well, no, hold on.
Right.
But the pre-talk, I like that because what we do is we'll let them know straight off when we're out on that line.
Right.
We say, listen, you curse out loud across the field, I'm going to warn you once.
Right.
Second time, red card, you're going.
Right.
So at least, as long as you give them that pre-talk, that's what you're saying.
Right.
If every referee can say, listen, we're going to from now on give them that pre-talk that the first time I hear you, you know, if it's loud enough, I'm going to warn you.
Right.
The second time, now, can we give them a caution? Not really, because it should be straight red.
Straight red, right.
So the first thing you do, because you want the game to play.
Right.
You don't want everyone cussing you, red card.
Because I honestly believe right now it is totally out of control.
Very.
And for me, it's disappointing because I want to take my son to a game, but I'm not going to have him around that type of, you know, and it's people. I often say, and I always say this to the officials, that if we can stamp it out on the field,
right,
it will filter into the crowd.
Okay.
because then we could turn our attention to the crowd. But if
Exactly.
if we don't take that approach with the players, it's just going to continue on and off the field.
But Mr. Bazin, the problem is the coaches.
Well,
When I played for Devonshire, Mr. Bull Swan, I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
him.
I remember. Yes.
Bull Swan, and I'm glad he said it like that because I tell everyone this. As a player, Bull Swan will first check your home, see how you're doing there,
Right.
check school.
Yes.
Then when you come to the field, there's no disrespect to no one.
Right.
So if he hears you cuss, even if you're a great player, you're not playing today.
Right.
So of course you're going to check yourself.
Yes.
And if you're on that field and you disrespect the referee, of course he's pulling you. I don't care how good you are.
Right.
He's going to tell you no, go sit down or go change.
Right. Right.
Because why? It starts with the coach. Remember, they say it rolls downhill.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, these guys are only just as bad as the coach.
Right.
Because a coach that's what he's supposed to be. So you're a reflection of the coach.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. So
Because
maybe,
start out with the coaches first.
okay, well it's a start. We need to
Yeah.
start somewhere, and
We
we
do.
have to address it because we're getting to a time in our society
Yes.
that football is being used, or football is being aligned with
Okay.
a lot of antisocial behavior.
Exactly.
And I think it's getting a bad rap because most of the time these incidents are happening way after a game.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, it's at the establishment that plays football. But I think football's being tied into something that if we work on it bit by bit, eventually we can get rid of. We're not going to get rid of the antisocial behavior,
No.
but we can lessen that amount at the club grounds during
During the
football
football.
games.
Correct.
And I think that's where we need to address. And the people who can help make a difference are the officials.
Okay.
Because if you collectively as a group say to the association, their executive, listen, this is going to be our rules. This is going to be our mandate. Starting in September, this is what we are going to be doing.
Correct.
Your job is to filter it to the clubs.
Okay.
We will reinforce that just before games.
All right.
And we'll carry it out as the game goes on.
A year ago, they did that at
Right.
Devonshire in a big meeting
Right.
to try to roll that out as far as stamping it all together.
Right.
Did not work, unfortunately.
Where do you think it fell down, though?
Coaches.
Right.
And then again, see, if I go and give a red card to a player that's cursing, the next game comes,
And the other referee.
other read just says, well,
Play
that's
on.
it. Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to disrupt the game.
Right.
So, of course, it's not across the board. It can't be, unfortunately,
Right.
because not every referee is thinking the same way.
Right.
What sort of language do you speak? Pretty
Right,
much. That's
right,
how they look at it.
right.
So someone might say, like if someone from England, not saying he will, but in England you hear it.
Right.
So they're like, well, that's nothing.
Right.
Here we're like, okay, I hear you. That could be just the way you talk.
Right.
But as soon as you elevate it across, then that's the standard we should look at.
Right. Right.
But it's just not being applied. That's the unfortunate thing. So you got to have broad shoulders.
Yes.
And you've got to know that, what do you say, sticks and stones break your bones,
Yeah.
but names.
Yeah.
So when anything that's directed, you just hear it and say, okay, fine.
Right.
The sad thing is, and it's an unwritten thing, every referee retaliates.
Right.
You know that.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
It's sad, but it happens.
I'm waiting for you because if you said something,
Yeah.
do something.
And it's sad, but that's
It's
the
the nature
unfortunate
of the
thing.
beats. It's
It's
the
human
human
nature.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
human nature,
because
and it's sad.
they're saying, listen,
Yeah. Oh, you
talk
keep
to you,
cussing?
talk
Okay.
to you, talk to you, talk to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let something happen. Take this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes it gets abused from our side.
Right, right.
And that's where we don't want it to go, but it's
Right.
been happening.
Right.
You know, the referees now are at the point where some may be giving, if you look at history right now,
Mm-hmm.
just this year, there are so many cards have been giving out.
Right.
It's like, wow. That's because now you see them retaliating.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's because of the bad behavior. They're like, okay, you know what? Here's a yellow card.
Right.
But then a foul or dissent,
That should.
second yellow card
It
comes.
goes, yeah,
You're
yeah.
gone. And it's like, but man, why
Right.
he go off? Well,
Right.
it's your second yellow card.
Yeah.
Or it's your third one you can't play next
Right,
week.
right,
So
right.
it's a two-edged sword.
Yes.
Good point you made, but I think it has to come across from the top and straight across with
Mm-hmm. Right.
everyone saying, listen, this is not going to be tolerated.
Right.
We understand that there are different languages, there are different cultures. At the same time, in anything we do, there's decent and in order.
Right.
Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So any sport, you go any other sport, they tell you this is the rules and regulations. You don't abide by it,
You're out. Yeah.
can't do it. So
Simple as that.
Yep.
Well, sir, thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate your time.
it.
Yes,
Looking
of course.
forward to you officiating for the remainder of the season and next season and seasons to come.
I appreciate your time as
All right.
well. Thank you again.
Well, joining me now is Martin Wire.
That's right, yeah.
Martin Wire has been officiating in Bermuda for a number of years. Officiated in England before coming over to Bermuda.
Indeed, that's right, yeah.
What if you had to compare the refereeing styles of the English and what you see here in Bermuda? How would you explain that?
Physicality is the main thing, actually. Well, two things, really. I refed in England to a very good level. Ref just below the Football League, so, refereeing in front of big crowds, which is a bit different to Bermuda. The atmosphere is different.
Right.
It's a little bit closer and tighter here in Bermuda than it is in England.
Right.
The actual play of the game and officiating the matches, it's physicality and speed. Bermudian, I generally find level of football, I've been refereeing here 6 years now, the football is quite fast, actually, so there's a lot of younger lads playing and it's quite quick, and an old guy like me can sometimes struggle to get it. I do my best, but and physicality is a thing. In England, it still is very much a physical game where players expect less fouls to be given, if that makes sense.
Right.
There's a lot, I played semi-pro combined services as a centre half.
Right.
And I used to kick the hell out of people, let's
Right.
be perfectly honest. But in England with players, when there's a battle or a tussle, they don't always want the free kick. They want football to carry on, because
Right.
they almost expect it's a physical game.
It's going to happen, yeah.
Despite what we try and do with the laws of the game, it's still a contact sport. It took me a little while to adjust in Bermuda that sometimes it's not as physical and players wanted the foul.
Right.
Whereas my mindset is, get on with it.
Play on, right.
It's the middle of the park. Right. So I took a little bit of adjusting for me to get used to that as well.
Right.
That's the only main difference, For me, football's football. I've refereed in Germany, I've refereed in Holland, did a little bit in the States. Football is football.
Right.
I just find the English game maybe a little bit more physical and colder.
Wow. You say you play it as well. What do you appreciate about the game now that you're not playing and you're just officiating?
For a little while, I mixed the two. What I appreciate, I try and bring my experience to the game as a player. I'm very much old-fashioned in the fact that to be a good official, you don't necessarily have to have played the game, but have an understanding where players are coming from. So, I understand when players get frustrated. I understand if they make a mistake or the ball doesn't run for them, or they're not initially happy with the decision I may make.
Right.
I get it, because I was there.
Yes.
So don't jump down their throat, understand the game and add to it. That's what referees are there to do. But, I appreciate that it is still a man's game or a lady's game or whoever's playing it. But it is, football is still a contact game.
Right.
If we take the physicality and the spontaneity out of it, we lose. It becomes a sterile game, and I don't think we want that.
Right. When you first arrived in Bermuda, how long did it take before you put your hand up and say, I want to get involved?
I did it before I came here, actually.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes. So, my wife's Bermudian.
Right.
I met her in England in the military, and I don't know if you get Roger Sherratt.
Oh, yes.
Roger's my father-in-law.
Oh, okay.
He knows a lot about sport on the
Yes.
island. He knew I was a football guy, he knew I was a referee. And 6 months before we decided we were actually going to finally up sticks and move to Bermuda with the small children, I said, I'm too old to play now. I'd quite like to get involved in refereeing. What do you think? And he said, Martin, I think it'd be great. The experience you could possibly bring to the game.
Right.
I said, I just want to enjoy football and get back involved. And he put me in touch with the much missed and good friend of ours, Gregory Grimes.
Yes.
It was Greg who got me involved.
Right.
Thanks to him. So he gave me Greg's email address through the police connections. And I emailed Greg, and Greg said, well, to be a referee over here, you've got to have a little bit of experience. Tell me what you've done. So I sent him my refereeing CV,
right.
The levels I'd referee at, and straight away, right, you're in. Guy with your experience, we'd love to have you over here helping some of the other referees.
Right.
So literally, I landed on the island, and Greg wanted me to get involved virtually straight away. So
right.
I was thrown in I remember my first game, which was down at St George's, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Thrown in at the deep end, yes. I had to ask where St George's was, how to get to the oval down there.
Wellington Oval.
Yeah, and what to expect. And it was great. And I remember pitching up and both teams looking at me going, who's this guy?
Right.
This English, tall English, good-looking English guy who's just turned up. And it was great. My first game went thankfully, touch wood, really, really well. I remember it really well.
Yeah?
I
Who was playing? St. George or is it Hamilton Parish?
No, it was St. George's. It was St. George's versus, I think it was Rangers, actually.
Okay.
It may have been Rangers. We're going back 6 years.
Right,
so
right.
I remember St. George, and I think St. George's won as well.
Oh, okay.
I remember my first game.
The rules have been changing every year.
Yeah.
Different rules come out, a slight change to a rule. When rules change, how do you take the information and sort of digest it to make sure that you fully understand it? Because we could all sit in a classroom and hear someone talk about it or read it, but how do you process that?
The first thing I ought to say, they're not rules, they're laws.
Well, I'm sorry, Lord.
I'm a pedant. Lyndon and Anthony Francis always pick us up on that. They're not rules, they're laws.
Right, okay.
I'm being facetious. Basically, I do my homework. So I know every year something is going to change. Because FIFA, or the IFAB as they call it, International Football Board, they advisory board, they always have to change something every year.
Right.
I do my homework, I read up on it online. I'm sad like that. I have nothing else to do with my life but read about the laws of the game. I make sure I understand it. And then what is really good, in Bermuda, we did it in England as well, but you have these clinics where we would get together and we'd have to go through and discuss, right, how do you interpret it, or how do you interpret it?
Right.
Because, laws of the game, but sometimes there's a little bit of interpretation. You have to sort of discuss, well, if this happened, how are we as a collective going to deal with that? I think it's also really important we get out there with the teams.
Right.
Like this season, beginning of the 2016-2017 season, I got asked to do a pre-season friendly down at Village, down at Bernard Park. And Devar Boyles, who I know well, I sort of said to Devar, look, after the game, there's been one or two little changes. Do you want me to come in? And they were playing... who were they playing? I think it was St. Davies. They played St. Davies in the friendly. And I said to both managers, actually, do you want me to come in and have a chat with the players if they've got any questions? Because I think it's only right that team officials and players understand.
Right.
So, the first couple of games, if we start picking them up for some infringement, if they don't know what's going on, that's not fair and right. So I think it's important we have a duty as officials to get out as well, make sure not only do we understand it, but the players and the officials understand it. At the end of the day, it makes my job a lot easier if they know the laws as well. It's just really, you've got to do your homework on it, and make sure as referees we're consistent and we understand the interpretation, so we're all doing the same thing. Right.
I know one rule that has changed. It's the one one law that's changed. It's the one where you try to play the advantage. How much time do you give to allow the advantage to be played? When foul committed. A guy goes down the line, it's gone maybe 3 seconds. Yeah. He scuffs the ball outside. Okay. Do you come back to the foul, or do you?
So the law of advantage has actually always been in there. We're just encouraged to play it more.
Right.
Playing advantage as a referee is, in my experience, is a skill in itself. I think it takes a certain amount of experience to get it right. We don't always get it right.
Right.
I'm a big advocate of using it, and I always say in my pre-match briefs to the skippers of both teams, people pay their $10 to watch football. Right. They don't pay to watch me prance around blowing a whistle. Right. So if I can play an advantage and everyone can play football, great. The law does not give you a time limit. It's common sense. Okay. So for example, it's now in the middle of the park. I'm not going to give an advantage in the penalty area if there's a clear penalty, because that's stupid. A penalty is a penalty. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. But in the middle of the park, two midfielders come together. I see an infringement. One guy's gone down. Your thought process that you go through as a referee should be, I've seen an infringement. Where's the ball? I always look where the ball goes. Right. The ball has broken away to his teammate. Now he's running forward. Great. I count in my head maybe 1 or 2 seconds. If he's still got it, then the referee has to signal play on advantage, so everyone knows. Right. Once you've done that, there's no going back. Right. He then falls over, trips over his laces and boots it out. That's not my fault. Right. But you give it 1 or 2 seconds, see where he's going. It would be silly to go on 7, 8 or 9 seconds and several phases of play, maybe like they do in rugby, and bring it back. Because everyone's forgotten what happened. And everyone's going, what the hell's he given there? Yeah. So 1 or 2, as soon as you've said play on advantage. Now, if you're not sure, the skill is don't say anything. Right. Because then you've not given an advantage. You can just say I'm a bit slow. We'll come back for the free kick. Right. To me, as a referee, trying to encourage football, there's nothing better than giving an advantage or playing an advantage, and then seeing the team that's been infringed against go on and score or have a shot on goal. Right. I don't care who wins, but that's a good feeling as a referee. You think I've contributed to the game in the right way by encouraging play. So 1 or 2 seconds, bit of common sense.
I had Super said in here.
Yeah, Sam Fell, you saw him go. Super, you saw him go. Yeah.
There was an incident. PHC, you ref the game. He was on the line.
Yeah.
Penalty awarded.
Yes.
Goalkeeper moved early.
Yes.
I noted when you blew the whistle, you stood and watched in an angle to watch the player kick the ball.
Yeah.
And the players
Yeah.
running into the box.
That's right.
You don't often see other officials do that.
Well, okay.
That's what I know. That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Yes.
But to see it done, I was like, oh.
It looked odd, did it?
No, actually, because I know a little bit about it, so I'm saying,
Yeah.
I finally see someone doing it
Yeah.
right, kind of thing. And he done his job because
Exactly right.
he put up his flag,
Yeah.
knowing that the goalkeeper moved forward.
Yep.
And it kind of the teamwork worked. The communication with your officials is very important.
Yes.
Hugely. How do you, before the game, make sure that everyone's on the same page prior to going out?
So you're right. Communication is a massive thing, and it's something I'm trying to encourage and foster in Bermuda amongst the fellow officials. And that with Sanford was a classic example because my job is to watch encroachment at a penalty. It's his job to do the line. I'm
Right.
not going to interfere what he's there to do.
Right.
And it worked perfectly. Before every game that I referee in Bermuda, even if it's with guys I referee in week out, because there's only a small pool of us,
Right,
we all know each
right.
other. We all tend to know how each other officiates, but the same thing. I say the same thing to my two assistants, fourth official, I forgot one as well. We are a team. That's key. So we're always going to be looking at each other. We're always going to be smiling and laughing and thumbs up. Things like every time there's a restart. So if a goal is scored and they come back to the centre, or if I've given a yellow card or a red card, or there's a passage in play, I always look at both my assistants. Is everything okay? Give them a little thumbs up.
Right.
And I want to make sure they're looking at me because that does two things. That tells me and my assistants that we are communicating and
Right.
I'm there to support them. And also, it lets the players and officials know that the three of us are working together.
Right.
We're not disjointed.
Right.
We're going to work. So, if I miss something but my assistant gives it, that's we're working as a team. And I'll explain that to them. Well, you didn't see that, referee. No, I didn't. And they look at you, but he did,
Right.
she did,
Right.
and that's why we're a team.
Right.
So that communication is massively important. I encourage it, and I say to them at half time and at full time, if I'm doing something wrong, you want more from me as a man in the middle, then tell me.
Right.
Likewise, if I think you could help me a little bit more on the line, I'll tell you, because that's how we learn.
Right.
But communication here is massive, even if it's just a smile and a thumbs up.
Right.
I think it's a key thing, and it worked well with Sanford.
When you're an assistant referee,
Yeah.
it's a tough job.
I think it's harder.
Yeah,
I think it's harder than referee.
You've got quite a few things to be working out, especially offsides, making sure goal kicks are taken correctly, all that type of stuff. The one thing that I know a lot of people don't pay attention to is when the goalkeeper has the ball in his hand and he goes to kick it,
Okay.
but steps outside the box.
Yeah.
When is it a handball and when is it not a handball?
So it's a handball basically when the whole of the ball is outside the 18-yard, the penalty area. So the whole of the ball has to be over that line.
Right. Not necessarily his body.
No, and he still has it in his hand. It's the ball you're looking at. If he's in contact with the ball in his hand and the ball is over the line before he releases it and he's still holding it, that is handball.
Okay.
Now if a keeper is on the line and throws it up, that's fine. It's
Right.
a handball.
Right.
He can actually kick it. But he's got to be within the box for it to be legitimate.
Right.
Handball is holding it with the hand and it goes outside the box.
I've seen a number of occasions where the ball is knocked forward, the goalkeeper comes to the edge of the box and reaches out and grabs the ball and pulls it inside.
Okay.
It's very difficult for the assistant to see that because they're making their way because the ball's been knocked forward.
Yes.
And you're turning to
Yep.
kind of, it's hard to pick that up. What do you see technology-wise helping globally the officials? Because in the money game, in the professional world, they can pay for all that stuff.
Yes.
FIFA and the like are trying to figure out how does the 209th ranked country who doesn't have that much funding get their hands on this equipment because it's going to be pricey.
It will be pricey. I'm not personally, I'm not an advocate for too much technology in the game. I mentioned earlier, I love the spontaneity. If you take the passion and the spontaneous and quick decisions at the game, what are we going to talk about in the bar afterwards?
Right.
We're going to say, well, that was a perfect game because
Right.
the video referee told us. I agree with goal line technology, and that probably is something you can bring in at the lower levels of the game and financing. But things like goalkeeper handling the ball outside the area, ball in and out of play on the touchlines, I think you've got to leave that to human judgment and the fact of having a referee and 2 assistant referees.
Right.
A lot of what we do depends on the fitness. So those decisions that that decision that you outlined earlier, that's down to the assistant being up with play and having eyes in the back of his or her head, which we have to have. As I said, assistant is hard. But technology-wise, I agree with goal line technology, and I think that's something we can bring in because that's a game decider.
Right.
You don't want, when you go out to officiate a game, no referee, I'd like to think, we shouldn't be going out there to influence the game. We get the big decisions right, like the penalties and the red cards.
Right.
Ball in and over the line, we've got to get that right.
Yeah.
Now, your AR is up with play on the goal line, perfect, we can judge that. But that isn't always easy when the shot comes from 30 yards.
Right.
So goal line technology is a big point. I personally don't want to see it go too far than that.
Right.
You know, the high levels of the game, if they want to bring in this TMO, fourth referee up in the box that can review video for World Cups and the big games, fine.
Right.
Can you see that working at the lower level?
Nah.
I personally can't.
Financially, there would be no way for us
Actually,
to...
couldn't do it. It'd be 2-stop start. Technology. But
And that would frustrate more people than anything else because the game, like you said at the beginning, it's supposed to flow. It's supposed to keep playing.
A 90-minute game would take 3 hours.
Yeah,
if we
and
brought that
we'd
in.
be back to the NFL time.
Exactly right.
A 3.5-hour match for 90 minutes.
That's right.
Because you have to review everything, and I mean...
Technology is a good thing, but if it's got to be used in the right way.
Right.
And I think certainly at the level we're at and around the world, unless it's the big money leagues, like you said, I think, you know, we still have to rely on our eyes and the match officials doing their job.
How long do you think you're gonna still love this sport to stay involved in it?
Well, I've always loved football. Football's been my main game since I was a little boy. I played it and then got into refereeing and did a bit of and done a little tiny bit of coaching.
Right.
I'll love football until the end. You know, I don't follow a Premier League team. My team's lower down in English League. The way the money goes these days sort of turns me off a little bit. I prefer grassroots and lower level football. But I'll referee and officiate as long as A, the legs will let me, B, the BFA want me, and see, when I give up actually running around the field, I can hopefully carry on assessing, mentoring, maybe do some instructing to bring on the next batch of referees and officials. You know, I'll always love the game, as long as the legs will let me do it. Then I'll carry on doing it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me here.
Thank you. I'll taste
I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Okay. Cool. Well, now joining me is Eusebio Blankendow, young referee. How long have you been officiating?
I say for like a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you get involved?
Well, I play football, so I like the game, and I thought that see it from a different perspective.
Right.
So I thought take a referee course and see how it takes me.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. What are some of the satisfying things you take from a game that you do on a weekend?
Well, I feel that when I referee, I would see how when I play football, how the referees would think. So sometimes I'll get made on the field, but when I referee, I see how the referees would feel. So it just gives me two eyes at it, and it helps improve the game because you know the things to do, not to do, and just improves the game as a player and as a referee.
You know what's funny? I've spoken to a lot of young guys like yourself who taken up officiating, and all of them say pretty much the same thing. And the referee blows the whistle, I get mad. Or I used to get mad. Now I referee, I'm a little different because I understand it. I understand. I'm in their shoes kind of thing. When you first decided, or when they told you was going to do your first game, what were your thoughts?
I was excited to do it because, well, it was my first time doing this.
Right. Were you nervous?
I wouldn't say nervous, but I was just excited to do it. Yeah.
What age group do you play with?
You mean playing football?
Playing football, yeah.
Premier.
Oh, you're with Danny Ton's Premier team, okay.
Yeah.
When you look back at the kids that you officiate now, do you see yourself? Do you see how you were used to run around?
Up and down, kick the ball.
Right. Chase it everywhere it went. So you spend a lot of time laughing at little guys because, I mean, they're having fun. They have no care in the world. They just want to play football. If you let them play for 2 hours, they'll play for 2 hours. What are some of the challenges you've had over the year officiating?
I wouldn't say too much challenges. I would just say like I wouldn't say that much challenges. Well, for me personally, I try to block out like when people shout.
Right.
But then now since the game's changed in Bermuda, where the parents can't like don't want them shouting on the
Right.
pitch to the children,
Right.
so it's hard for them to really say anything. So for me, I wouldn't say it's hard. Sometimes you hear one or two things, but
Right.
it's one or two you could easily block that out.
How do you manage the coaches?
Well, for most of the time they're fair, but if one does get out of hand, then you just give them a little side note. Just something like not make it obvious, but you want to just
Right.
keep it. But if they get out of hand, then you just have to.
Do you feel intimidated at times where you would be, someone look at you and say, yeah, who's this little boy? You know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful, but you know, you look young,
Yeah.
but here you are with a whistle in your mouth, you can't tell me what to do, you know? Do you ever feel that way, like coaches try to take advantage of you because you're young?
I won't say they try to take advantage, but I can see in the expressions that they're like,
This little boy.
I can see it in the expression, but I wouldn't say, because they try to be fair, because
Right.
people's watching them, so
Right.
they're like, yeah, let me just say this, but in the mind, they're like,
Right.
it's just,
Must be tough. I mean, you're playing Premier Division football, you're refereeing. How much time outside of football do you give yourself?
well, I get my schoolwork done since I'm up to college, but other than that, everything's football.
Yeah.
Everything I do is football since young.
Right. Right. Tough season for Danny Town.
No, it's turning around now.
Yeah, you're safe. You're safe. You go safe the other night after you beat Village. But now when you see what I would consider your teammates of referees, you obviously you're looking at it in a different light now. What's some of the talk amongst your friends about refereeing and how they can actually learn more about the game if they joined in?
Well, I know there's one guy that goes to my school. He likes to referee, so he talks about it. Every time he sees me,
Right.
he talks about it. So we both like football.
Right.
I've known him since like high school.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting because I like tell somebody to do it
Right.
because it's fun. It's something that you enjoy to do, and it's not hard per se because
Right.
it's little children. But
Right.
as you get more, then you just go up a level,
Right.
up a level.
Right. What are you taking up at the college?
Business right now.
Oh, okay.
But I might change it to do IT.
Oh, okay. You like that?
Yeah.
Okay. How does football help you mentally prepare for school?
I would say, like when I'm doing schoolwork, I just try to think of football stuff, and it would help me with some work that I really don't understand. But
Right.
if I put it in football perspective, sometimes it helps me, sometimes it don't.
Right.
But I try to just do my best in school, and football comes along, so
Right.
I do it too.
Okay. And then how much does school help you with football? Because obviously you have to reverse it.
Well, I would say when these coaches came out, they like me, so I might be going to wait to school. But other than that, I think school times with football, it's just like the game today is different from how it was before. It's more like you're going to need a lot of skill for the football today because not technology. So there's a lot of jobs in football. Now, I'm not saying football per se, like kicking, but
Right.
mentally is a lot to do with football.
Right. When you decided, okay, I'm gonna try this refereeing stuff out. You go to the classroom because they give you a course first.
Yeah.
You sit down and you look around. Do you wonder why you're in that room? Do you look around and say, oh, why is he or why is she in this room?
I just look around, see. Sometimes some people like it, some people after a while they don't want to do it no more.
Right.
But it's all in their opinion. But most people that like to do it is people who play football. So I wouldn't see how you wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
So that's how I look at it.
What would you say was one of the hardest things to get throughout the course? Instruction-wise, like if a rule or something.
I wouldn't say a rule, but at the younger age they have a little different rules from regular football. So sometimes you just have to. I remember one time I was coaching a game. I think it was on the 10s or refereeing a game, and I called it offside. But then I looked at the coach and he's like, "No offsides on the 10s." So I was like, "Never knew that."
Right.
So then I went back and I looked, and then I was like, Well, it depends because some coaches say it's offside, some coaches say it's not.
Right.
So I just asked all the day, and they was like, "It's no offside."
Right.
So that's why I was like, "Okay, cool." But
So you kind of get the two coaches together before the game starts. Let's go over the rules. Let's know what.
Yeah,
what
well, I wouldn't say go over the rules, but sometimes if I have like something to say, then I'll just address it, so
Right.
at least they know.
Oh, okay. All right. So you there's a possibility you'll be going away to school, playing football
Yeah, play
as well.
football.
Refereeing is a challenge. It's a challenge because we're short at the senior level, and obviously you guys, the younger lot, are adding the numbers and putting in the time. But if you were able to talk to a group of kids, maybe 14, 15, and you had an opportunity to tell them why they should try officiating, what would that be? What would you tell them?
First of all, I feel like the people should like football or play football, because then that makes you want to do something more. Because that's why I came to do it. So I tell them that if you're not into football, then if you want to do it, then that's something you really want to do, then you could do it. But if it's not something, if you really don't like football, then sometimes you just tell them it's best to not do it. But other than that, I say it's a good experience, especially if you do play football, see from both eyes. And then sometimes it just, like, it helps you mentally too, because you gotta keep a cool head as a ref.
Right.
Then it'll take it when you have like a job,
Right.
something you'll be able to handle a little.
So
Stick.
if you go to a game now, you're not playing, you're just going as to watch a game. Are you looking and assessing referees, their positions, what they're calling and stuff, or are you watching the game? Because now it's a little different for you now.
That's what I was saying. You have two eyes, so sometimes you're looking at the game, but then on the other hand, you're looking at the referee because you do both. So you're like
Right.
game referee, and you just see the decisions they make,
Right.
and you really look at it as if you was in that position, what you do.
Right.
'Cause these calls come quick, and
You only got one shot at it.
one shot. Sometimes you might have the linesman to
Right.
talk for about 30 seconds, but
Right.
other than that, you only got one shot. You call. I feel like you call what you see.
Right.
Because you can't call what you don't see.
Right.
If your linesman says something different, then it's something different. But you can't expect to get everything right.
Right.
But some things are just, I feel it's position. If you're in a good position, that's what helps you as a referee.
Right.
If you stay at least 10 yards away from the play, then you be good because you see everything.
Right.
But if it's stand like 20, 24 yards, it's going to be hard to see, and you're going to be darking, and
Right.
that's the worst. You don't want to dark.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck. Hopefully you do get a scholarship and you're playing abroad, adding to the number of youngsters that are abroad, getting an education and playing football, something that you love to do, because joining the referees has got to be love. It can't be for anything else, because you see the senior referees taking a lot of abuse, both on and off the field. So good luck.
Yeah.
All the best, okay?
Yes,
Thank
thank
you. All right.